Hi there, I'm Phil, and even though my YouTube channel is new, I've been teaching guitar professionally for most of my life. So I want to help you as much as I possibly can, and I'd also love to hear where you're joining me from. Post in the comments where you are, and let me know what kind of videos would help you the most as well. So today we're going to talk about my top 5 simple tips for beginner guitar players. Later, I'll probably make some more of these videos because there's so many tips that will really help you. And you don't always hear people talking about these in online videos. So let's get started. So tip number 1 is how to hold a pick properly. Okay, so take a look at this. Can you see my pick? There we go. There's barely any of the pick sticking out. The pointy part is coming right out of the side of my thumb. And take a look. I'm holding the pick between the side of my first finger and my thumb. This is the best overall way to do it that I recommend for everybody. And it's not going to get you stuck later on down the road when you get playing some more difficult stuff. I also recommend you start with medium picks. They're a little bit flexy, but they're not floppy and they're not really firm. So they're a great place to start. Now, picks are cheap. Go buy a bunch of them and explore. Keep experimenting and you find what feels best for you. Okay, tip number 2. Whenever you're playing, you always want to put your fingers right next to the little metal lines on each fret. So our frets are our little rectangles, and you want to put your finger right there. Technically, anywhere in this zone is going to get you the right note, but the further you get from this spot, the harder you have to squeeze to make a nice sound. And chances are you might have already discovered the dreaded buzzing noise. Isn't that lovely? That's what happens when you're far away from the little metal line and when you don't squeeze down enough. This applies to almost everything you play for the rest of your life. That's the sweet spot that gets you the nicest sound, and you don't have to squeeze down as hard when you press there as well. That's tip number 2. And here is tip number 3. It's simply to start with single notes. They say 90% of guitar players quit within their first year, or usually much faster than that. And a lot of that has to do with starting with chords. I tell all my students that starting on chords is like putting a 4-year-old in a university class. It's just really hard. Your fingers aren't used to it. It takes a lot of repetition and a lot of practice. And it also scares people off. It makes people quit if they don't have the time, or they just think that, oh, they're not talented enough, or they can't play. And none of those things are true. So you're going to find out, if you haven't already, that playing one note at a time is hard enough. So here's a quick example that you can do. We're going to find fret number 5 on the first string. We're going to play it with your first finger. Now we're going to play fret number 6 with your second finger, fret number 7 with your third finger. Remember to keep your fingers right next to the little metal line, and fret number 8 with your fourth finger, your pinky. Do that over and over again. 5, 6, 7, 8. You can also try this on every single string. That makes a really amazing little warm-up exercise because you get to use every single finger on every single string. That's one of the first things that I show to all of my students. I always say it's the least exciting, but the most important thing that you can work on. If that's all you did, you get better and better at guitar playing because you're working on the movements and the right coordination. So there we go. That's tip number 3. By the way, you want to also just be picking down to start, down towards the floor. Just get really comfortable with that till it's nice and relaxed. Later on, you can get fancy and you can include ups. And then you could go much faster, but that's something for another time. Okay, tip number 4. This has to do with what you do with your thumb. Now, I don't see many people mentioning this online, and so many of my students, even students that have had other teachers before, are doing strange things with their thumb. So the general rule is that you want to have your thumb roughly behind your middle finger. Think about it as squeezing an object, squeezing a ball. Whereas your thumb, it's in that nice middle spot. If your thumb's over here and you try squeezing a ball, well, it's not going to work so well, is it? On the guitar, it's the same thing. People often have their thumb over here, or they're often moving it around constantly and shifting it around and making all sorts of strange things happen. And you don't need to do that. Aside from that, once your thumb is behind your middle finger, then we have 2 options. One is thumb over the top. This feels really comfortable because you're kind of hanging your arm off of your guitar. Your thumb is keeping it stable. This works well for chords when you get to them. And it works well for some movements, but not for everything. The other option is to bring your thumb down to the middle of the guitar neck. And this allows you to spread your fingers apart and play on all 6 strings nice and evenly. And that's your second option. Some people love to do this all the time, keep their thumb down all the time. Personally, I'm back and forth all the time. Sometimes my thumb is up because it's nice and comfortable. And then when I need to, I bring my thumb down so I can spread my fingers apart and play other things that you can't really do with your thumb up. Now, one note, when your thumb is up and you can't spread your fingers apart, but it is relaxed and you can make small jumps. When you're getting started, the most important thing is to keep things relaxed. Nothing should ever feel forced or strained or awkward. If something is painful and awkward, you're probably doing it wrong. And you can make adjustments to keep it a little more relaxed. That's the most important thing when you start. You can always fine-tune things, or you can find a teacher to help you make those adjustments. That's one reason why having a real guitar teacher helps a ton as well, because with the guitar, there are so many little adjustments that you can make and that will help you a lot with your playing. Okay, now tip number 5. This is about how you practice. So you always want to figure out what the hardest movements are in whatever piece of music you're playing. It doesn't matter what you play, figure out what's getting you stuck, what's slow, what's most difficult. And you want to break the music into little pieces and just repeat them over and over again. The harder it is, the smaller the pieces, even just 2 notes. That could be a piece that you can repeat over and over again. All we're ever doing when we play guitar is going from one finger to another finger. So as you practice, you're going to get better and better at all the coordination involved. And it's difficult. It's hard when you start. But be patient with it, stick with it, and just try and have fun all the way through your learning journey. So there are 5 really simple little tips that are going to help you start off the best way possible. And remember, never give up. Find fun things to play. Write down all your favorite songs or favorite pieces of songs, even if you don't think you can play them yet. Just keep on writing them down. And stick with it, because it's just the most amazing, rewarding journey you can go on. And you can take it as far as you want. Now, if you are getting stuck and frustrated and you're trying to learn chords, well, you might want to watch one of my other videos. It's all about one interesting option you've got instead of starting on the guitar. Okay, I'm Phil again. Thanks so much for joining me. I want to help you as much as I possibly can. Let me know what kind of videos you want me to make. Like, subscribe, and help support my channel if you can, because this means so much to me that I can help people on YouTube. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.